We are joined by the great Andrew DeCecco, and of course, listen closely to him because at the end of the hour, we will ask you a Know the Show question for your chance to win a pair of Sixers tickets for Sunday's game against the Clippers. 6 o'clock tip, so plenty of time for you to find your way somewhere to watch the Eagles game afterward. Single game tickets are on sale now, of course. The game takes place at the Wells Fargo Center. Today's headlines comes up at 8:05 with Connor Thomas. But Andrew, good morning. How are we?
Good morning, guys. How are you? I'm doing well. Great to be with you.
Glad to see you there.
How much does the 10-day rest period help any team? Not just this Eagles team specifically, but the 10-day rest period. We all fear the short week on a Thursday, but both teams have to deal with it. Both teams don't have the added benefit of 10 days rest the following week. The Eagles do.
I mean, it is so critical right now, Andrew, at this stage of the season for someone like Jalen Hurts, who obviously is working through an ankle. For someone like Milton Williams, who now is a full participant, he had the foot injury coming off the Commanders game. Devontae Smith, a lot of players that are banged up at this time of year to have that extra time. Saquon Barkley, Connor mentioned he had a great point when I was driving in, and I heard him to kind of, you get a chance to rest a little bit coming off all those 25-plus touches, consecutively in a row. So I think this is crucial for the Eagles right now.
I would tell you right now that with this team, we all have weird thoughts about what this game means. And to me, though, I want to put the division away, and I think a win on Sunday does it. Do you share that thought process, or how do you look at this?
I'm kind of with you, John. I share the same school of thought. This game is very big, and when you look at the teams that the Eagles have played this year, the Commanders, that was one of the more marquee matchups, right? So were the Bengals to a degree. Their defense really wasn't up to snuff, but this, to me, is the biggest test because you're flying out to the West Coast, because you're facing a quarterback in Matthew Stafford who is going to test a young secondary, and they have two receivers that are equipped to do it. And their defense, I mean, they're sort of minimized about what they're able to do defensively. They have some young pieces there as well. So I think being able to travel to the West Coast and handle your business against a formidable opponent that is on a red-hot streak right now, I think it's a tall order for the Eagles.
All right, before we get to our headlines with Connor Thomas, the barroom question that we asked the audience earlier today, I'm curious to get your answer on it. John and I are both okay with saying no. If Devontae Smith was listed at 50-50, flip of the coin, would you play him Sunday against the Rams, or would you sit him and get him ready for the following week?
I would play him. Okay. And the reason why is because this matchup is very critical for the Eagles. This is a game that I do envision being a shootout. I think playing on the Rams turf at SoFi, they're going to be airing it out, and I think the Eagles are going to have to air it out. We'll get into that a little bit later. But knowing that, I think you have to play Devontae. And Devontae is as tough as nails, and he's going to give everything he has. And I do believe that he's going to push to play.
See, now that worries you because I said it's 6 o'clock. I believe this would be a Jalen game. It would have to be a Jalen game.
Absolutely.
So you feel that same way?
Football guys.
Yeah.
Football guys.
You see that? Look at that. We're in sync.
A team that does not tackle well, and a team that is not good against the best rushing attack in the NFL.
Here's the thing, John. Eventually, there is going to be a team that's going to try and sell out to stop Saquon Barkley.
And I'm thinking if Devontae's out, that just might be this Rams defensive coordinator trying to do that.
Right, they're going to try and shut down Saquon, and they're going to force the Eagles to become a pass-centric team. And eventually, a team is going to try to do that and see if the Eagles can do it. I think they are obviously equipped to do it. Jalen Hurts has done it before, but the passing game has been clunky. So I think if you're the Rams, you're going to take your chances there and try and sell out to stop the run.
All right, it is 8:05 today.
I don't like either one of your tones.
For the rest of the hour. Yeah, but I feel good about the game. I just think it's going to have to be an air attack. It's going to be a Jalen game, man.
That makes me nervous.
Monday morning, we're coming in.
Me and Andrew are never wrong.
See? Us football guys, man. We stick together. If you have questions for Andrew, text them in 610-632-0975. We'll obviously break down Eagles-Rams, the matchup coming up around 8:30. We have some other questions for Andrew that we've been discussing throughout the show that we'll throw his way next. But it is time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
What we got?
Hey, boys. So we had a great football game last night, just from the aesthetic portion alone, with the snow in Cleveland and AFC North matchup. And also, you had a guy that I consider one of the most likable, enjoyable personalities in the NFL in Jameis Winston. And he got...
As long as you don't work at Publix.
Well, I think most people find Jameis very enjoyable, especially with the stuff he has to say before and after games.
Yes.
Here's what he sounded like pregame on the broadcast. So he was talking about the game and the weather and everything.
What will it take tonight?
The horse is prepared for battle, but victory comes from the Lord. So I'm depending on the Lord.
Is that the message to the team?
Day by day, one play at a time. That's the message.
Weather conditions tonight. We're expecting winds up to 15 miles per hour in a wintry mix. How will that impact your ability to throw the ball?
I am so happy and grateful that the Lord has blessed me to play in some snow, to be in true football weather in Cleveland, Ohio, at Huntington Bank Field today to give him the glory. It's a beautiful day.
Nobody loves snow football more than Jameis.
See, now you laugh and roll your eyes a little bit, Johnny, but have you heard, and I'm asking honestly, because I don't know, have you ever heard a negative thing said by a teammate of Jameis Winston?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
plenty, especially in college.
Okay.
Especially
not
in
at the
college.
pro level,
Not
no.
at the pro level.
Not at
That's
the pro
what I'm
level.
trying to get at.
Pro level, he's been quite popular.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
I think
he may be a guy.
Like that stuff we laugh at and we go, wow, he's awesome. I think his teammates
He's
might
a
say the
great
same
energy.
thing.
Did
he's
you see-
authentic. He's authentic.
Did you see the Saints, guys?
Well, when he said we're
played-
going to eat this W, or we're going to eat a W.
when he went back.
When he played the Saints,
Yeah.
there was a line of 9 Saints teammates
I wanted to say hi.
waiting at the end of the game to give him a hug and talk to him. That tells me all I need to know about that he's a guy who's learned his lessons.
Yeah,
Like, he's
oh,
learned his lessons.
absolutely.
Because he was a bit of a jackass. I will just tell you that.
Yeah, I remember the crab
He's
legs,
learned,
right?
He's learned to be a professional.
Yeah.
So there's hope for certain 30-year-olds in town here who could learn to be a professional.
Here's what I'll tell you. He is much better than Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
As a person,
As a
easily.
person, he
And as a
Easily.
quarterback, too.
As a quarterback, too. I mean, they've already, won more games with him?
Yeah, they've won 2.
Yeah, that's
him.
more than
And
Deshaun
two
Watson.
divisional, the
And by the way,
Ravens and
beat the
Steelers.
Ravens and the Steelers. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty impressive.
That's cool for them. Buddy Ryan would have been celebrating it.
Yeah.
Dope.
I love Jameis. All right, next, we've got a little bit of an update coming, most likely, to the NBA All-Star format. We haven't really talked about this, but Shams put out a tweet saying there's going to be a 4-team tournament-style 2025 NBA All-Star game, and how that's expected to work. 2 semifinal games up to 40 points, the finals game up to 25 points. So it's quick burst competition, pickup ball-esque. How do you guys feel about going to this tournament style over the normal game?
You can spray Febreze on a pile of poop and it will still come back and stink. That's something that James
We
Winston
use
would say.
poopery in our house.
As long, look, they can try everything they want in the world. I'm up for it because the All-Star Game festivities have been terrible with the NBA. They used to be the best. They're now one of the worst. Obviously,
No, it's-
NFL is still the worst.
It's atrocious.
But until they try, until the players try, I don't care what tournament, formula, whatever you want to do, until they try, it's going to be like, eh. And I watched an interview. Tyrese Halliburton was being interviewed. Either it was his podcast or he's on a podcast. Everybody's got a freaking podcast. But Tyrese Halliburton was talking to a former All-Star in the NBA. I forget who it was. And he was trying to make the point, like, you guys do know, like, the league's ratings are down. And this
Like,
is one of your
distinctly.
this is one of your big nights during the year where you can promote the sport. And you promote the sport by doing it half-assed. And Halliburton's like, oh, wow, I didn't think about it that way. None of them do.
They don't look at it that way. It's all personal branding now.
So
I think that's where the league. I think that's where the league has seen the drop off.
Yes.
I
It's
agree.
about personal brands, not team stuff.
So do any tournament you want.
Shake
If
it
they
up,
do-
please.
But
It
if
is
they don't-
unwatchable.
But if they don't try, if it's taking their time, chucking up threes from 80,000 feet away,
It's it's ridiculous.
it doesn't matter how you do it.
185, 183 does zero.
Because they already
zilch
did this
for
with
me.
the first to 250. They've done the mark score. So
Yeah.
basically, they don't try for 3.5 quarters, and then all of a sudden they go, all right, this is the point total you have to get to.
Yeah, apparently, though, like it may be 3 all-star teams, like selected, and then you have, then you have the winner
Rising
of the
Stars.
Rising Stars,
Yeah.
and those are some, that might be interesting. You don't want the Young Bucks to come in there and show you up if you're LeBron or KD or something like that.
Yeah, and then LeBron pulls the young buck aside and goes, "Yo, if you get me hurt, you're not surviving in this."
That's a fair point. All right, we'll round
My
out with
son
this.
is the only one who gets gifts like
Make me look good, guys.
It always gets back to Bronny. All right,
does.
we'll round out.
This is one of those games where you can probably learn a lot when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. So we're going to start the show off asking two questions that are on the complete opposite spectrum. A win does what for you? A loss does what for you?
And we've laid that out a bunch, but I'm very interested in Mr. DeCecco's thoughts on what
Great
this
setup,
means.
Connor. That's exactly what we were going to do at this time. So, a win for you does what? A loss for you does what?
It checks off another box. It answers some more questions that a couple questions that I have about the Eagles, their ability to go across the country and play a tough team. And when you have some time to rest and recover, how are you going to respond? And you want to see if they're able to kind of keep that foot on the gas for me. But a loss, Andrew, I mean, I think that there's obviously going to be some reservations, but you could also look at it and say, I mean, it's a tough opponent. They're on a red-hot streak right now. And you could sort of say, okay, we'll see. What's that?
So are the Eagles. They've won 6 straight.
All right, but the Rams are playing at home, and the young corners are going to be tested. Like, there are certain elements to this game that you can look at and say, I could see why this game, or if this game could go another way. And you could look at it and say, let's see what they do against the Ravens. But for me, I think that this is a game that the Eagles have to win.
So
you're putting it like you have to.
Well, I mean, when you look at then what's waiting for them,
I'm
the
telling
Ravens,
you, I agree
Well,
with you.
and the Steelers.
I want John to explain what his answers were for both a win would do and a loss would do.
A win to me guarantees the NFC East. I don't believe that